If you're a founder, a manager, or the person responsible for operations in your company, and you want to learn AI from scratch, I wouldn't start with prompts. I also wouldn't spend a whole week comparing ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, or whatever new tool is trending on social media. Here's the problem. A lot of leaders are learning AI like people who are just curious, not like people who are running a business. They're treating AI like a new app to try, when they should be treating it as an operating capability. So the better question isn't, which tool is the smartest? The better question is, what should AI help my company do faster, more clearly, and more consistently? In this video, we'll walk through 3 questions a manager or founder should use when learning AI from the beginning. First, what work should AI actually improve? Second, how does your company define a good output? And third, how do you turn that use of AI into a workflow the whole team can reuse? When people first start learning AI, they often ask, should I use ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini? That's a fair question, but if you start there, you get pulled into a race that never really ends. Tools will keep changing, models will keep improving, and the ranking that looks right this week may not help you at all next month. If you're a leader, start with the work, not the tool. Look at a normal week for your team and ask, what work takes a lot of time and repeats every week? That question is much more useful because it points you toward places where AI can improve how the business runs, not just places where AI feels interesting. Maybe your team spends hours writing updates for management. Every week, people collect numbers, reread notes, explain progress, and turn all this into a report that's clear enough for managers to make decisions. Or maybe your team has to summarize customer feedback from emails, support tickets, call transcripts, and Slack messages. Or maybe, before every important meeting, a manager has to reread 5 different documents just to prepare a few focused questions. These are often strong places to use AI because they have 3 things in common. They happen often, they require a lot of context, and the output needs to be consistently good. AI isn't just useful because it can make any task faster. A smarter way to choose your first workflow is to look for places where your company keeps having another meeting just to understand what's going on. If an issue needs 3 meetings before everyone understands it clearly, the bottleneck is not only time. The bottleneck is how the organization interprets the information. AI should be brought into the places where different teams are reading the same situation in different ways. Those are the places where decisions slow down, drift, or get delayed. So your first AI use case doesn't have to be the easiest task to automate. It should be the place where AI can make a management discussion shorter, clearer, and less dependent on personal interpretation. Imagine you're the COO of an 80-person company. Every week, you run an operations review with your department heads. Sales sends an update on the pipeline. Customer success sends a list of accounts with churn risk. Product sends progress on bug fixes. Support sends recurring customer issues. Now, if all of that information lives in separate places, the meeting can easily turn into a group reading session instead of a decision-making meeting. In this situation, the better AI workflow is not write a nicer report. The better workflow is collect updates from each team, separate facts from interpretation, flag the risks leadership needs to see, and prepare the decisions that need to be made in the meeting. When you look at AI this way, you stop learning it like someone testing a new tool. You start learning it like someone improving an operating system. After you choose your first workflow, the next question is, what does a good output look like? This is one of the biggest differences between an ordinary AI user and a leader who uses AI well. A beginner usually gives AI a task. They say, write me a report, or summarize this meeting, or create a strategy memo. These requests aren't wrong, they're just incomplete. In a business setting, AI doesn't only need to know what type of document you want. It needs to know what good means inside your company. A good report in one company may go straight to the numbers. In another company, a good report may need to explain the context, the trade-offs, and the decision that needs leadership input. If AI doesn't know that standard, it may create something that sounds reasonable, but still isn't useful. So instead of only giving AI a task, give it a standard. If you want AI to write a weekly business review, don't just say, "Write me an update." Give it 3 previous updates that your CEO or leadership team considered strong. Then add the raw notes from this week. A stronger request would sound more like this. Here are 3 weekly updates that our leadership team rated as useful. Study the structure, length, tone, and level of detail. Then use this week's raw notes to draft a new update. Keep the summary short. Separate progress, risks, decisions needed, and next steps. Don't treat assumptions as facts. If the data is incomplete, say what's missing. The value here doesn't come from writing a longer prompt. It comes from showing AI what good work looks like in your company. AI can pick up the right length, the way risks are framed, the level of detail, the tone, and the order of information. Those things are hard to describe perfectly in a prompt, but they show up clearly in real examples. A good standard should also explain what the output must not do. For example, a business review should not hide uncertainty behind confident language. It should not mix facts with guesses, and it should not make a recommendation before explaining the trade-offs. Now, this is the part many teams skip. So AI creates drafts that sound smooth, but actually make it harder for management to make decisions. When you define both the strong example and the unacceptable pattern, you're not only teaching AI how to write, you're teaching it how to keep business thinking disciplined. A simple way to remember this is outcome plus context. Outcome is the result you want AI to create. Context is what AI needs to know to create that result according to your standard. For hiring, context may include the job description, the hiring scorecard, the candidate CV, and an example of a strong candidate evaluation. For customer escalation, context may include the customer's email, ticket history, refund policy, and an approved response template. The key is simple. Don't make AI guess your company's standard. Show it the standard. In many companies, those standards already exist. They're just scattered across Google Docs, Slack, email, old decks, SOPs, or inside the way a strong manager edits someone's work. So using AI well isn't only about learning how to write prompts. It's about turning scattered standards into context AI can actually use. If you have to explain everything from scratch every time you use AI, you're still using AI as a personal tool. That may help one person to move faster, but it doesn't help the whole team work to the same standard. As a leader, your job is to turn good ways of working into workflows that can be shared and reused. In ChatGPT Work or Claude Cowork, you can organize a workflow in 2 layers. The project keeps the documents, history, and context for the work. The skill stores how AI should run the workflow. That includes the steps, the output structure, the quality standard, and the points where a human still needs to review the work. There are 3 practical ways to create a skill. The first way is to start with a short instruction document. Write down the goal of the workflow, the documents AI needs to read, the desired output structure, and the mistakes that are not allowed. For example, for a weekly operations briefing, you might write, "The goal is to prepare the COO for the operations review. Read the updates from sales, customer success, product, and support. Create a briefing with 4 sections: progress, risks, decisions needed, and next steps. Keep the briefing short enough to read in 5 minutes. Always separate facts from interpretation. If a number is missing, flag it instead of guessing." That already gives AI a lane to run in. It's much better than opening a blank chat and asking it to summarize the updates. The second way is to give AI a few examples of good outputs and ask it to extract the working rules. You might say, "Here are 3 operations briefings that worked well. Study them and turn them into reusable instructions for future briefings. Pay attention to structure, length, tone, risk language, decision framing, and what information gets left out." This works well when you know a good report when you see one, but you've never written down the rules behind it. AI can help turn those hidden rules into something the team can reuse. The third way is to complete the whole process with AI. You provide the input documents, then ask for the first draft. You revise it, point out what feels wrong, improve the structure, and keep going until the output is actually useful. Then you ask AI to package the process into a reusable skill. Based on this completed workflow, create reusable instructions so another team member can produce the same type of report next month. This method works well because the skill is based on a real working session, not theory. Let's apply this to monthly business reporting. Imagine your company wants to use AI to support the monthly report. You create a dedicated project for that workflow. Inside the project, you store the materials the team needs every month: KPI definitions and calculation formulas, the business plan and quarterly goals, the standard monthly report template, data from sales, marketing, finance, and operations, and weekly notes about results, issues, and possible causes behind KPI changes. Now, when the team creates the monthly report, they're not starting from an empty chat box. They're starting in a place that already has the business context, the reporting standard, and the goals management is tracking. Then, inside the project skill, you define how ChatGPT should work. For example, always start with an executive summary. Then show KPI results, meaningful changes, causes, risks, and action priorities for the next month. Always separate actual data from interpretation. Don't make a conclusion if the data is not enough. If an issue appears across multiple weeks or has a meaningful effect on quarterly goals, include it in the section that needs management attention. When it's time to prepare the monthly report, the person responsible only needs to update the project with the latest numbers from sales, marketing, finance, and operations. Then ask ChatGPT to create a draft. Using the quarterly goals, KPI definitions, and saved report template, ChatGPT can summarize results, identify metrics that are off plan, point out issues that need attention, and suggest topics for the management meeting. And like any work done with AI, people still need to check the final version. The manager or report owner must verify the numbers, review the interpretation, and take responsibility for the conclusions. After each round of edits, the team should update the skill or add the approved final report back into the project as a reference example. That's how the workflow gets better over time. When it's set up well, ChatGPT work doesn't only help one person save time, it helps the whole team use the same context, the same way of analyzing information, and the same output standard. That's when AI moves from a personal tool into a real part of how the business operates. If you're learning AI from scratch as a founder, manager, or operations leader, don't try to learn everything at once. You don't need to know every tool. You don't need to memorize hundreds of prompts. And you definitely don't need to become an AI engineer before AI can help your company work better. Start with one workflow where you already have to step in again and again. Give AI real documents, strong examples, evaluation criteria, and decision rules. Then use a project to keep the right context and a skill to turn experience into a shared way of working. 10 years of experience may allow you to make a decision in 10 minutes. But if the way you evaluate a problem only exists in your head, your team doesn't truly own that experience yet. Every new situation still has to wait for the right person. Each management layer may interpret the issue differently, and decision quality can drop as information moves through the company. AI creates value when it helps turn experience into criteria, instructions, knowledge bases, and skills the team can apply consistently. The main result is not a few hours saved. The bigger result is that the company can scale the quality of management thinking without creating another bottleneck. If you liked what we talked about today and you want more practical ways to use AI in daily operations, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next implementation guide.